call to order the Board of School Trustees for the Brown County School Corporation. First things first, we have a 2026 budget public hearing. Let's call it to order. And then we have a presentation.
Yeah, Policy Analytics was here at the last board meeting to present a detailed presentation on the 2026 Brown County Schools budget. Tonight, I just want to be able to do a really brief recap of that for the board and for the public, and then open it up for any board or public comments or questions for the budget hearing. So this is just a reminder of the timeline. We held the budget presentation on September 22nd. Tonight is the public hearing. The school board will adopt the budget on October 20th. We submit that to Gateway, which is DLGF, the very next day. And then we probably won't hear back from them to receive the 1782 notice, which is the actual adopted budget between December 31st and January 15th. So that is the timeline. We're required by Indiana statute to present a capital projects plan. If you remember from what Mr. Gardner had presented on September 22nd, we really just allocate $2 million towards building equipment, technology equipment, and safety equipment. Our bus replacement plan is as presented. This is, buses are pretty expensive and we can't purchase 12 buses at one time. So we try to build out a strategic, intentional plan to replace those when those buses need replaced. So this is that strategic planning for that. And this is the resolution for appropriation. So this is what Brown County Schools submits to the DLGF. If you look at those, this is always we ask for more than what we will actually receive. So when you see that adopted tax rate, total school rate at 71 cents, we haven't had 71 cents total school tax rate in years, but we always ask in those appropriated budgets for more than what we will receive. Our 1782 notice will look much like this, but it will have the exact numbers and tax rates for each of those.
I know 2 weeks ago you did not yet have the AV yet. Do we have it yet?
No.
Okay, so nothing's changed then.
Nope. And I'll open it up for if the board or the public has any comments or questions.
No questions? All right. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn the budget public hearing for 2026.
So
A second?
Second.
Let's vote.
Doug?
Yes.
Carol? Yes. Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carried. Close the meeting. This brings us to our regular agenda items. Let's call it to order. Is there any modifications to the agenda?
There are none.
Okay, recognition of visitors and comments from the audience. Anybody sign up to talk? That brings us to our presentation.
Yeah, I'm gonna just take one moment to disconnect my computer from this, and so you can connect yours.
All right, sounds good.
And while they're getting set up, this is the team from Tarkett. Gosh, if you remember back in the spring when we put out for bid which company we were going to go with, Tarkett is the one that won that bid with us, and so we have been working relentlessly together since then to be able to get to this point tonight. So with that, I will turn it over to you.
Does anybody have a problem if we dim the lights? If we get a glare off that from over here.
Do you have paper copies of your presentation?
Just send it to me.
Oh, okay.
My back neighbor.
Thank you.
Is that good, or do you want more?
That's better, yes. There you go. There you go, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, first of all, thank you guys for having us. We were obviously thrilled to be selected, and we have 4 of us up here that are representing different arms of Tarkett. So my name's Aaron Boley. I'm with the architectural group, Ampere, and guys, you want to do a quick introduction?
Sure. I'm Michael Boker. I'm with Tarkett Sports Design, the civil engineering side of our team companies.
I'm Bill Teaton, and I'm with Finance Sports, the track surfacing arm.
And I'm Brad Whitaker. I'm with Tarkett Sports. I'm the East Region Operations Officer.
All right, thank you guys. So our agenda tonight, we want to give you guys a little bit more information about us as a group, and then we're going to kind of talk through the big priorities. Obviously, one of the tricky parts is being right next to Grease Creek and flood information. We're going to share all that we found in that process with you guys. And then we're going to look at the new home of the Eagles and get to some of the fun pictures at the end. All right, so the process. We're going to talk about what the Tarkett package is. So obviously we also have different companies here. We're going to talk about the delivery methodology that comes with that, our team, and then the process specifically we took for this level of design. So the Tarkett total package, the idea here is that we're bringing together design, construction, and manufacturing under one roof. So you guys get the assets of having a person for each part of these arms of construction as part of this team. And so in the room today, we have design, which is us two here, civil and architectural design. Tarkett Sports Construction, Brad over there, he's gonna be the one building it. And then Bynum and Field Turf are the products we're representing on it. And Bill is representing Bynum. Those are going to be our track and turf manufacturers. So part of what we're trying to achieve by bringing everyone under one roof is a new delivery method. So in the traditional design bid build delivery method, basically you guys as a school would come and get us as an architect, and then we would do all the designs, we'd come up with a project that everyone loves, and then what we ran into, our group, is that a lot of the times when we sent that to contractors, got it bid out, it come in 25% over budget, and now all of a sudden the project we loved is becoming something different. So the way that we aim to fix that is by going design and build. So you guys as a school would have representatives from design and construction in here today. And the problem with that is there's a degree of separation between the owner and the designers from the subcontractor suppliers and things like that. So it's adding a middleman. You don't have the open conversation. With what we're doing is holistic project delivery, design, construction, manufacturing, all under one roof. And really the big benefit here is that you guys as an owner can reach out to any of us to speak directly about track surfacing with Bill, how your project's getting built with Brad, or how your project's being drawn with me and Michael. And then that area in the middle there where our interests overlap, that's really where the effectiveness of this model comes out, because design, construction, and manufacturing all have that interest in the middle. So that overlaps where we're saving money and time. And then we've introduced ourselves already, but this will be a take-home for you guys. If you start seeing names in the future, this is your cheat sheet to who we're with and what we're doing. All right, and then lastly, the process that we've taken on this project. This is our 5-step process in Ampere. We do this for preliminary design. So the first thing we do is get in a group with the administration of the school. This is where we're setting top priorities. It's basically an interview process of, okay, what are your top 3 priorities? What are your dreams? This is where we're talking big picture. And that's what we start to gather initially. And then step 2, data gathering, user meetings. This is where we're talking to your coaches. We're talking to the individuals that are your feet on the ground every single day. We just want to understand the project before we start drawing something and coming up with a design that might not fit you guys as a district. During that time, we're also gathering plans and information about your school so that we can draw things accurately. Program verification, this is where I bore people or terrify people with a bunch of spreadsheets. This is where we're giving program allocation. How many square feet do you need for your concession stand? How many fixtures do you need in your restrooms? and how much do we expect that to cost per unit or per square foot. And so before we even draw anything, we're already thinking about your budget. And then step 4 and 5, that's what people typically think of designers, architects as doing. That's when we actually start drawing something. We look at design options and then come up with your final product. So I breezed through that, but that was the delivery method that we followed on this project, and a little bit about our team. I'm gonna go kind of quickly. If you guys wanna interrupt me in these like transition slides, please feel free. Or we can save questions for you. Either's fine with me. So floods, we're gonna talk about what is a floodway versus what is a floodplain. Actually, Michael's gonna talk about that because he knows a lot more about it than I do. We're gonna talk about the FEMA 100-year flood, which is one of the standards for basically getting insurance, versus USGS, which is collecting the actual like flood data of this area. And then we'll talk about what we've learned from that flood data. So Michael, before I pass out, do you want to talk about 100-year versus floodway here?
Sure. So FEMA, for regulatory purposes, basically breaks the floodplain, 100-year floodplain into 2 areas. First area is the floodway, and that's the area, if you think of it, that's the channel that is needed in the areas adjacent to the channel to effectively convey the peak runoff rate through that stream or river. The floodplain fringe would be the areas outside of that floodway to the limits of the floodplain. And that's primarily additional storage for flood waters, but not associated with the conveyance of the flood itself.
All right. And then in the architect version of that, when I translate this basically is saying, okay, just don't touch the floodway with new construction. It's gonna get us into a lot of trouble in terms of permitting, but more importantly, it's gonna pose a risk to life and property. And basically the state of Indiana is saying, hey, this is almost impossible for us to allow you to do this. And so we're just gonna say, it's impossible, we're not touching the floodway. So what that meant for this project specifically is that when we first looked at the project, we're like, all right, here's the field, it's great. We can keep the field, we can keep the bleacher, but the field is overlapping that floodway significantly. So we weren't gonna be able to build within that floodway without incurring a lot of permitting challenges and basically putting the project at risk for where it's located on the site. And so what this starts to look like in 3D is the dashed blue line and the dark blue area, that's your floodway. We don't want to touch that with our new design. And what we're showing right now is the 100-year flood. We're going to start saying a lot of elevations here, guys. So when I say 604, that is the 100-year flood. That's where FEMA, that's the elevation FEMA says is going to flood to, is 604. And what a 100-year flood means is that there's a 1% chance annually of that happening. And it's basically a way for flood insurance companies to set their standards. So, what are we looking at here, and what other data is there to go off of on this site? So when we look at 604, basically your current field is at 598, so that's the equivalent of raising your field 6 feet. So if I were to stand up, just pick up a football field to, per my driver's license, the top of my head, per reality, like an inch over my head. And that's a lot. So there's actually a stream gauge on your bridge over by CVS, and that little thing that's the picture in the top right, if you go to that bridge, you'll see something that looks kind of like that. That thing's been tracking how high floods have been going since the 1960s here. So I actually checked that when I was driving around today. I was like, that thing's there, right? Yep, it's there. So basically this graph that we have here, it's saying a lot of things. It's saying how high your highest flood ever at the stream gauge is, which then we're translating to what is your highest flood ever on your site. So the highest flood ever recorded was in July 2015, and that was at 598 1/4. So in the following images, that looks roughly like what we're seeing here. So basically, the peak of the field is just barely poking out of the flood. The track is fully submerged. And basically what we're looking at is 598, that's your existing field. We can't stay at that elevation or we risk flooding, we risk your new product. 602 and a half, which is where we're proposing the new field B, which isn't quite to 604, but is well out of this. At 602 and a half, that's roughly at the top of your fence. And actually our surveyors went out and marked on an electrical box out there what 602 and a half is. And if you go stand out there and imagine water at that level, it was helpful for me. I went and looked at it this afternoon.
And that's the top of the gate on the visitor side, correct? Am I seeing that correctly?
This is home center over here. So top of the fence there.
That's recycling.
Okay.
That it's looking at.
Okay, got it, yeah.
And then on the right, I really like this image because this helps us talk about what happens to a field if it floods. Because obviously we're saying we're going to put your field at 602 and a half and not at 604, which is the FEMA standard. Basically, what happens to a turf field when it floods is you're not at risk of things floating away. Your sand's not going anywhere, your rubber's not going anywhere. And the risk to the field is what is settling into that field. And really, as long as it's not highly contaminated, based on what you guys have here, it's a bunch of soil. And what happens even when a field floods, because there's fields in other flood zones all over the place. What happens is that sediment gets into your field, and it either naturally filters through the system, rain will get rid of it, or if it's really bad, then there's a maintenance package that comes along and takes care of it. And basically what we're looking at here is how high do we need to get your field in order for us to warranty it for 8 years? And we've done that. So it's not about what does the flood insurance company say, it's more so about we're basically your insurance company on that field at that point. So now we get back to our old look here. So this is your new facility showing the FEMA floodplain here. So this is the 604. We're below that level. And the reason we're not getting to that level, that's the reason we wanted to show this cost and field elevation. To go from 602 to 604 it's not quite doubling, but for the sake of easy math, it's doubling the amount of soil we need. We're getting wider away from the field. It's just adding a lot of money in dirt. So basically we're adding somewhere between $350,000 and $420,000 to raise it that extra. And we'll warranty it below that, so we don't need to do that. So now let's look at the USGS data. So this is that showing that highest elevation flood to date that's been tracked since the 60s from that station on the bridge. And that's your existing field under that. And then here's your new field at 602 and a half. So we're elevated well above that historical flood, the flood of record. And that is showing us all we need to know to say, hey, 8-year warranty on this field, good to go. And also your concession stand is a different story, but it's so much smaller than the field that we haven't focused on it. A concession stand will be elevated above that FEMA floodplain. Well, we just don't want to deal with any of that. It's much smaller. All right, so that was quick. That was quick. Is there anything that I need to review on flood?
Related to the concession stand, is that just a concession for the geographical issue?
There's also restrooms.
Okay, well, I'd like to throw out this point that about being appropriately accessible, not just for the handicapped, but for the regular seniors that show up for these games and everything. We don't want kindergarten toilets. And we don't want toilet paper rolls where you have to bend over in order to go underneath and go out. Because people get into medical issues and they can fall off and hurt themselves. And my daytime job, I'm a physical therapist.
Oh, got you.
There you go.
Very good.
Yeah, so it's just one of those, if we're gonna do that, we need to have appropriate bathrooms on both sides.
Yeah.
And I feel that male and female so that safety.
ADA compliance is super important in our group, and we've actually been going by 2024 standard code-wise, which means wider circles for wheelchair turnarounds, and it's a slightly higher standard than we see in 21, which is the basis of Indiana State Code. You bet.
I have a question about the sediment that you were talking about that gets left behind when that floods.
Yes.
I know that up Greasy Creek, quite often when it's tested, the E. coli level is like disgustingly high.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect like the field, the turf? And I know that you said that with the projected plan, it's gonna be under that, but when that stuff is left behind, like,
So that's something that's small enough that it'll filter out with
Okay.
the rest of the soil. What we really look for is if there's larger contaminants. I don't want to get gross, so
Yeah, okay.
we don't want something larger to settle. In terms of like stream bacteria and stuff, that will filter out through
Okay.
that natural
Which
process.
turf are they using?
What's that?
Which turf?
It's a Vertex product, right? Not specifically.
I had a question, so do you know why we built the field where we did initially? Were we allowed to build it in that floodway? I don't wanna be difficult, but I'm just like, how did we end up with that in that place, do you know?
Well, actually, I'm speculating.
Yeah.
I don't know historically why, but what we've seen in the past is floodplains are flat. It's a natural state for floodplains, and that's a natural state for football fields. So a lot of the times when we're seeing this, athletic facilities are built in floodplains, primarily because that's where the flat ground is, which is very helpful.
Yes.
So you said it takes $350,000 to $420,000 to raise that, so you know how many yards of dirt you're having to bring in to actually get us to 602, correct?
It's an additional 14,000 cubic yards. It goes from 24,000 cubic yards in our initial estimates to 38,000 cubic yards when we raise it that extra amount.
My next question would be, so you go dropping that kind of dirt in there, how does that affect the flow? I'm a farmer, and we build levees and stuff,
Mhm.
and how does that affect the flow up Greasy Creek and past the football field?
So,
I mean, you're putting a lot in there, it's gonna disperse the water different ways.
Mhm.
Is there any, how's that work?
So that's actually a big reason why the floodways are in, no, you can't touch the floodway. So that's a big reason we're moving out of the floodway. We actually met with the AHJ here in town, the county, and DNR before we came here today. And what they were describing to us is basically that floodway is already oversized in Indiana. So if we don't touch that floodway, then we're actually not causing it harm by filling within the floodplain.
So it's not gonna have any effect on our neighbors, correct?
Correct.
Fairgrounds and
That's
that.
correct.
Yeah, that's all factored into the size of that floodway, which means that your floodways are really large, but that's to protect from
Well, actually-
anyone filling.
We'll actually be removing an obstruction from the green channel
Water.
and widening it and make it flow back.
All right. Anything else on floods before we look at the pretty pictures? All right. And if, we'll do questions again at the end, so if anything pops up, we'll do a whole question and answer segment. All right, so home of the Eagles. First of all, we want to show you the athletic complex. We want to give you a beautiful athletic complex, and we want to improve the quality of life of fans. All right, so we hired someone down the road from Columbus to come take some drone shots for us. So, existing site today, this is the look we have of your existing field. And then here you see the new facilities. You see the top part, the top right part kind of shift over. That's us getting out of that floodway. And then obviously we have new bleacher, new concession. Let's see, is this my laser pointer? Yeah. New concession here, which is much closer to the fan section. And then what's happened here is because we've shifted over, we ended up in the side of the hill a little bit. So we have a retaining area over in this corner. And that's something that we're going to show later is a really cool asset for the project. Yes, ma'am.
And I don't want to make the assumption that both of those stands will be handicap accessible with the
Of course.
at the appropriate height and platforms and all.
Oh, yes.
That was,
You probably can't build them.
Right, you have to.
They won't let us. yeah, we're beholden to that, and
Just checking.
will always meet. And also to that point, the sidewalks and stuff, you'll notice a lack of like hand railings and things like that. We've set everything to a low enough slope that we're trying to avoid hand railings and stuff. So you still have that upward and downward movement of people, but with a minimalizing of rail. So that's a 1 to 20 slope versus a 1 to 12 slope. All right. So now we get into the before and after of the site plan here. So on the right, you see that you see the existing floodway here. This is the thing we're trying to avoid. I mean, so much of this project has been this floodway. I've learned a lot about floodway, floodplain, a whole lot throughout this process. So here is an overlay of where the field's shifting to. So you see that top part shift more dramatically into the hillside here. And then some of the things that we're looking at are how far is it to the restrooms for your fans? Right now, from your home stand, you're over 580 feet. And from the guest stands, you're almost a quarter of a mile to the restrooms from the guest stands. Current code, the standard is 500 feet. You need to get all people in attendance to within 500 feet of their stand from the restroom. So that was part of our goal here. Sometimes we can work around it with the visitor side, but we still want to hit that 500 feet standard. So on the right, you see a drastic reduction in the path of travel to the nearest restroom. So that was a really good feature of twisting this field and bringing this concession and restroom area. One other thing that we're looking at is proximity to the existing locker room. So right now, the locker room's 300 feet away. And while that's only going down to 200 feet, that's still a 1/3 reduction in the distance, making your locker rooms that were renovated recently more usable. All right, and then zooming in on the field itself, obviously it always looks like a football field when you put end zones in it and put a logo on it. This field is designed for more than that. So we're also planning for soccer being played here. We want to give all sports equal opportunity to utilize this facility. That's part of the reason we make it artificial turf, is so that it can last all year round, and you're not going to tear up the field by constant activity of PE classes, soccer, football, all of that. That can happen on this field. You can continue utilizing it without damaging the grass. So it helps maintenance. We're keeping your maintenance shed 3. I'm calling it Eagles Bluff. We'll see that image later, but that's that retaining wall we're creating, and we want to use that as a feature for fans to get another look at the game. 4 is our new grandstand. 5 is your concession stand here. 6, we're reusing your guest bleacher. You're just changing where it's located. So in the effort to be cost effective here, that guest bleacher's in good condition. It's decently new. So we just want to give that a new pad and move it on site to save the project money. And then number 7, we're keeping the existing throws. Again, saving money and leaving resources where we can. All right, so now we're getting a look from the track side. So you kind of get the ground level experience of the new grandstand and then the concession stand in the background. So we really want to utilize that concession stand as an anchor piece. Your finish line would be right down here. And what we want to do is have as many people congregating around that finish line area as we can. So we're giving a big focal branding piece to the concession area, and then a large concourse where people can watch people come down to the finish. And then the grandstand itself, we're talking to multiple different companies, but we're looking at a product from, we're looking at a lot of different products, but we're looking at a steel raker system at the moment with a press box. It's made to host the same number of people as your current grandstand. When you start looking at the site plan a little closer, it's going to look shorter. We're 15 rows, your current one's 10 row, so that's why it's looking shorter. It's shorter and deeper. Press box is about the same size with an eagle's nest on top to put a camera on.
There won't be grass underneath the stands either. It shows grass, but we're not gonna mow that. Just
So the track itself, what are we looking at here? So the type of track we're looking at is kind of new in the world of construction. It's going to be a post-tension track, and basically the benefit you get off of this is a 50-year warranty. A typical asphalt track is a 1-year warranty, and this post-tension one is something that lasts for a very long time. Brad, do you have anything to add?
Absolutely.
You're the guy who builds them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you've not heard about post-tension, a lot of it is in parking garages and high-rises. We use it for slab on grade, for tennis courts, pickleball courts, and tracks. Because we all know asphalt is not a permanent solution. I mean, you can tell by your tennis courts out there, your parking lot. It looks good for a while, then eventually cracks open up, grass grows through it, okay? It becomes a maintenance headache constantly. So we developed the post-tension concrete for tracks. Basically what we do is we lay out your track and we run these cables through the track. And once we pour the concrete on it, you take a hydraulic ram and you basically keep that concrete in compression, okay? You keep it tight so there's no opportunity for cracks to come through, okay? So that's why we're able to offer a 50-year warranty on that track. You're not going to come close to a 50-year warranty on an asphalt track. I mean, I don't know if you guys are, but usually tracks are a routine maintenance that you have to include in your budget year after year. If you do a post-tension track, you won't have to worry about it for a long time. And that's a third-party warranty. That's not a pinky swear by somebody saying they'll come back and do it in the future. That's a third-party insurance on that track. Because you're putting a pretty expensive product on top of your track. So you might as well put it on a solid foundation, which is the post-tension. You know, you spend a lot of money on a track surface. It's like a crack in your drywall, you know, asphalt is. You can patch it all you want, but the crack always comes back through. In this case, we do the 50-year post-tension. Bill puts the surface on it, and you don't have to worry about cracks coming through.
And to that point of the maintenance and just the quality of the surface that's going to be on there, Bill, could you speak a little bit about the 1,000 that we expect for this?
Sure. So the surface they're putting on top of there is a full depth, full pore polyurethane product. It's 10 millimeter in thickness, and we're doing dark gray with mid-gray exchange zones or mid-gray track with a dark gray exchange zone. Which one?
We'll decide.
Well,
I don't know, we
to be determined, okay. So this product is probably the workhorse of our company. At about 85% of the collegiate institutions across the country, they have this particular product. In your neighborhood here, Hanover College has that product, Indiana State has that product, Purdue has it, Indiana Wesleyan. We're speaking with Marion University on Wednesday. You can go down to Rising Sun High School, but when you get into the northeast corner, we have 6 post-tension concrete running tracks up there with this exact surface on top of it. It's a 10-year warranty. Your first maintenance cycle is probably in the neighborhood of 18 to 20 years. And then you can come back in, resurface right over the top of it, and keep right on going. It's an impermeable product, so all of the rain that falls on it sheds to the turf field on the inside. If you have a 100-year flood, it won't delaminate because the water can't penetrate through, but we can come back in and clean the track easily with the cleaning machines that we have and the equipment that we have, and it'll be like brand new. Comes restriped. It's a bumper-to-bumper 10-year warranty, and we make all the product, and our crews install all of our own product. So when we're installing the product and the coaches have questions or the staff have questions, it's easy for them to come out and talk to the site superintendent and figure out what's going on. You get a striping diagram up front, so we mark it to the events that you want on your running track, and we turn it loose after that. So,
Thank you, Bill.
sure.
This is why I love having the experts in the room. I don't have to know it all. I can just talk to the guys who do. All right. Well, now we can talk a little bit about what I know the most about, which is going to be the architecture. So something we're doing, I'm highlighting some requirements from the Development Review Commission right now. Basically what we're saying is we're doing the homework. We're talking to the AHJ. and we want to make sure that we're making something that's going to fit Brown County. So I have a lot of stuff highlighted here. These are from my personal notes. Basically what this is saying is make something that fits with the, with the town, something that feels right. Material-wise, what's around you, and what's utilized in the rest of the city. So we always start this by kind of digging into, all right, what's around us here? And so things that we're seeing is a lot of standing seam roofing. That's very common in the area. The stone is very common in the area. And then lap siding, board and batten, that type of wood finish on the side. Very common in the area. So what's common at the school? Well, we're seeing a lot of this more flat and modern kind of looking metal structure, express structure. We're also seeing a lot of brick. And basically this is helping us set what is our color palette, what's our material palette, dark grays, stones, masonry.
Did you know that building that you are on is pretty darn old?
This one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't look at it.
Huh?
You tricked me.
Well, that's been around for a half a century plus.
Oh, wow. That's very cool. Hey, it fooled me. But these are kind of the features that we're going to look at. And today we're not full, we still have to finish documentation. We're going to give the school, all the breakouts of material options and that. So this is a moment in time. So this is your current concession stand we're looking at. Again, trying to pull materiality and color palette from those buildings around us. We're showing the masonry. We're showing either the board and batten, lap siding finish, and then the standing seam roofing with either a wood soffit or it could be a board and batten to match that siding. In terms of what's inside the concession stand, we did a big study on how many restrooms that we can have, how many are required by code, and what can we get away with, because the IBC is actually pretty insane about what it requires restroom-wise. So what we're doing is we're accounting for your existing restroom fixtures in the school to reduce the requirements of this building. These are still convenience restrooms, much, much closer to the stands. But if it's halftime and the game's crowded, you still have access to those old restrooms. What we're doing here is we're adding 3 men's stalls, 5 women's stalls, and then 1 family restroom, which is a new updates code. You have to supply a family restroom. We also want to make sure that people have somewhere to go change their kids. So that's the general gist of what's included. The concessions, our assumptions right now are we're not cooking within it. We're not going to have a hood. That's going to add a lot of cost. It's going to add a lot of maintenance. We're basically looking at prepackaged things that you can sell out of the concession stand. So we're talking popcorn, chips, sodas, that sort of thing. And then if you guys have grills, then that can supplement out of it. And then when we start breaking these things apart, where did we end up? So basically, we have the dollar budgets here. These are really high level. But roughly, you're looking at about $3 million for your track and field. For the concession, we're looking at about $500,000. For the grandstand and press box, which includes your visiting grandstand, you're looking at about $750,000. And then these site improvements and grading, this is really where the flooding came in, and us lifting the field came in. That is included in that number, as well as AV upgrades, sidewalks, fence, all that sort of stuff is included there. So that's kind of the everything else. And where we've ended up is right at 5.9 million. This is actually, if you add all these numbers on the screen up, it actually comes out to $5.9 million and $60. But I'll throw in the $60 if I have to. So don't freak out when that adds up $60 more. All right. And then what we want to emphasize here is, again, this is a multi-purpose venue. This isn't just for football. We're going to have the field striped for soccer as well. Again, that soccer field, we were showing those dimensions earlier. We're at 62 yards wide by 110 yards long. And that's maintaining a 10-foot runoff on the sidelines.
So is that, the way I understand it, soccer fields have multiple dimensions. Where does that fit in with that, the multiple, is it high side, low side, medium, where we at with that?
So the recommended from NFHS for soccer for high school is 65 yards wide. The length is recommended is 110, so we've matched the length. The 65 yards wide, the minimum that you can have at high school is 55 yards. So we're much closer to the recommended than the minimum. And the widest they'll allow is 80 yards wide, but 80 yards wide is like Wembley Stadium. Like that's what Real Madrid's playing on. That's what the big European teams are playing on. It's not really appropriate for a high school level.
So
Unless
most,
you got some really, maybe it
so most Indiana schools, they're playing on what?
It just depends, they're all different, but we're right in the middle of where we need to be.
On this one here?
Yeah.
What were the soccer coaches' thoughts and feelings on turf? I know they're so used to their current field.
I think, just like anything, it would be a change, but it'd be something that we could adapt to. Our current soccer field needs work, right? So this is gonna be a much better playing surface for them. This would allow us to host sectional events. We can't host at our current facility because we don't have lights.
Do the kids play on other turf soccer fields right now?
They do. Yeah, they do. Our boys are playing tonight on a turf field, and we purposefully scheduled them a game last week at Bloomington North so that they could play on the turf to get ready for their game tonight. So, yeah. Most of the time, the sectionals played on a turf field because it's the nicest playing surface you're going to get. You can play on it if it rains.
I know this would be like a logistical thing, but practice schedule, how that,
That's right.
Yeah.
because all teams are gonna be practicing at the same time.
Yeah, we just started having those conversations. You know, everybody's going to want to be on the turf. Obviously, games will take precedent over practices, and then we'll just have to get strategic with equal practice opportunities.
So then the next bond project is turfing a practice field.
Well, I don't know about that.
Just spitting that out.
sounds great.
Who's the turf guy? Which one's the turf guy?
He's not
Not-
here.
JC's not here.
Okay, so I heard you say what's the, I know when I played here, if it rained, we couldn't play football. I mean, if it got, unless it was during the game. And so what is like, let's say we get a 2-inch rain at 2:30 in the afternoon, are we still gonna be able to play on it that evening?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of these turf fields, I know enough about turf to be dangerous, okay? But most of these turf fields can handle up to 8 inches of power with drainage. So underneath the turf, the drains are flat panel drains, and they run in the herringbone pattern. And then depending upon the turf quality, which product they're picking, they either have a hole punched in the turf, in the carpet throughout, or the entire carpet mat is the drain. That's why the sediment drains out of the field with rain. But that herringbone pattern is critical to the success of the field. So not only are you concerned about the rain falling on the turf, you also have all the water from the track running into the turf as well, because we're not doing drainage around the inside of the running track to collect that water, as well as rain from the grandstands that falls down onto the running track as well. So I've seen field turf fields where they've had 6 to 8 inches of rain, and they'll play the game that night. And if your field is draining properly and groomed properly, and field turf will teach your staff how to groom the field and how to maintain your field. When it's maintained properly, a 2-inch rainfall that stops at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're playing a game at 6 o'clock at night, and you're ready to go.
Keep talking drainage, where are we draining this to? Creek?
It will drain to the creek as it does today.
I'm done.
I have a question. The current stand has handicap accessible, because a lot of people park near that shed, handicap people park in the shed, because that's the shortest distance vehicle get into the field and everything, and I'm just, you know, I've seen your design, I'm just kind of concerned about it, because a lot of them will park across the street, recycle and stuff, so it's accessibility that I'm concerned about there, and, I mean, I know that it just looks like a regular picture, but, you know, I ain't seen no handicap accessible, and I just want to remind you, you know, about that, because with the final design.
Our ramp in this layout is on the other side, and it's going backwards this direction, because the sidewalk's higher over there.
Right.
So it's just making the ramp a little bit shorter.
And is there a sidewalk behind the stand?
Yes, it goes around back to the stand.
All I saw was the beams and the grass, like, so, like, yeah, that's what that's.
Okay.
So I'm just addressing those concerns there.
Yes.
So we're raising it 4 feet?
4.5.
4.5 feet. I know you've done that there, but I don't see it. Like, how, what does this really look like compared to where it is?
They moved it, it went up 4 feet.
I know, but.
From the field,
Copy
nothing,
paste.
right?
Uh-huh.
If we had given you a look like straight down the side, basically on the side of your field, I'm gonna click back a few times.
Yeah, okay.
I was warning people before I start making the screen flash a bunch. But basically, if we were at ground level here, can I get one without the cost on it? You can kind of see that ground falling right there, right?
Okay,
Along that, and this is a retaining wall to keep us out of that floodway on this side, just for reference.
okay.
So our grade is falling down towards the back of that retaining wall. Basically, we set that at a 3-to-1 slope or a 4-to-1 slope, depending how much space we have. And the reason we use those standards is to keep it mowable, keep it maintainable. Basically, there's just gonna be a hill going up to this sidewalk here.
Okay,
And then, once you're at the level of that sidewalk, it'll flatten.
but that's an area where we don't really walk, so it doesn't
Yeah,
really
if you think
notice.
about the walk that's behind the current stadium now,
Mhm.
that's at about elevation 604. So before, where that field sat down another 6 feet below that, now will be within 18 inches of that walk. So we've lifted it up so it's much more accessible from the back of the field now. You're almost up to that level.
Oh, you mean you're up to where the
That
sidewalk, when you come around
Yes.
from back over the bathroom, so it won't go straight down, it'll,
Yeah.
Correct.
okay.
Get to the Eagle Bluffs yet?
Not yet?
Okay, I was gonna
We're-
say, I think there are more that may
Okay.
help
Yeah.
provide a visual.
All right. Yeah, we're almost there. Like 4 more slides, guys. I love our pictures of. Again, emphasizing this is a multi-use venue. We're not only thinking about athletics, we're thinking about your marching band. How can we serve the music department as well? And Emily, look what these guys did with AI. They got our band in there.
Yeah. I like it.
Do the people come with it? Do the kids?
We want a band that big. I do love how we all have different interests though, like, Doug's a farmer and Carol's a physical therapist. I'm a band parent. So
All right.
I'm specifically a percussion parent, and my husband said I was to ask this question, which is when we've got to bring in the xylophones and the drums,
Yep.
will it then be flat and easy to bring them in? Because again, the slope right now is just a killer.
There's a slight slope down the
Okay.
field where they would be accessing, and that's where the football team would be accessing too. So actually, we'll get a good look at that in just a moment.
Okay.
But it's one ramp that's much shorter
Okay.
than your existing. So is it perfectly flat? No, but
that's
is
all right.
it significantly easier? Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff comes from that shed
Yeah.
at the north end, so.
Well, that shed's actually up a little higher. That shed's like right at the elevation of the field, which actually worked out great for us because I was worried about how are we gonna navigate it because the field's pretty close to it. That shed's almost right at the level we're going to.
Are the entrances still going to be the same then on either end of the home stands, essentially?
Yes,
Okay.
essentially yes. All right. And now where we dug into the side of the hill. So this is the Eagle Bluffs part.
That's where I can see it.
We wanted to take what is, everyone here is retaining, they're like, oh no, I got expensive. But what we wanted to do was utilize the fact that we have to do retaining and give it back to your fans and your community as something special. When we're doing college athletics all the time, it is, hey, what are the different experiences for people, right? All stadiums are moving towards, hey, let's have multiple experiences throughout here. And we want to utilize the retaining area in order to give fans somewhere to sit. So we can set, you guys can set up picnic tables up there, and that can be your VIP section, or it can be an alternate experience for everyone going to a game. And basically all that means is, hey, we got to build a sidewalk over it, and we have to build a fence, but otherwise, all of this is going to be there anyway.
And the biggest thing is we're getting the dirt outside.
That's what I was gonna say, how many yards did you get out of the
Yes.
hill?
Yeah, we're getting some of our dirt back.
How does it affect the sledding hill?
Yeah, this is the sledding hill.
The top of it will still be there,
They
right?
gotta go that way now.
Okay,
We'll reroute them. For
minor
this one.
detail.
Aaron, could you mention the start-finish line one?
Oh, yes. So we talked a little bit about the finish line experience over by concession stands. Obviously, this is where you're starting your 100-meter dash. This is where you're starting a lot of your events is this side. So this is kind of that starting line club, and the concession area is that finish line club. We always really want to activate those two areas when we're talking about a track facility. Yes.
And I've been on the board for a while. So there was, I know past history that the town has redone pipes and stuff in that area, in the hill and everything else. I assume that you have that information.
We just got survey.
Yes.
So we have the survey information, and we have budget allowed for moving utilities and things along that line. So
Since you're on track, is the track, since you're on track, are we the right size there too? I don't,
Yes.
I mean, compared to other,
It's a regulation track.
yeah.
They'll have what they call an equal quadrant track. In other words, your straightaways are 100 meters, and it's 100 meters around the radiuses. You'll have two start lines down here on this end. You have a 100-meter start line, and then you have a 110-meter start line for the boys or for the high school. And then on the other end, you'll have a common finish, and then you'll have waterfall starts for the 400, for the what have you. And the 200 will be on the other side, starting on the visitor side and finishing at the home, on the home side at the common finish.
are we regulation right now?
Yes.
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 And
The other thing to note here is that we've taken enough care to give you plenty of room from the outside of lane 8 to the fence, so that if somebody should fall, they're not crashing into the fence wall. And that's done on purpose, and I think, did we use a meter?
yeah, it's a full
It's
safety.
a 1 meter distance, which is what the NCAA and the World Athletics requires. And most of the high schools in the state of Indiana, right now today, don't have a 1 meter safety barrier.
So it's essentially a 9-lane track, but the 9th is for that safety.
I know the high jump and the long jump were in this area. Have they been moved somewhere else?
They are within the D zone, so the area behind the end zones. So long jump is on the side of the field we're on right now, and then high jump and pole vault is on the opposite side from us over by the concession area. So you see the pole vault pad just a little bit
Okay.
right
We floated one of those this year.
there. Really?
Yeah.
Where?
Track.
All right.
Trying to fix
This year?
I'm just saying, I mean, that's what happened this year.
All right. Well, that's our presentation for you guys. Go Eagles! This is our little area where they bring their xylophones down that I mentioned earlier. And from the beginning of this project, we are determined to get you guys into play.
Is
So,
that picture there, is that an I mean, is
No.
that the actual
Yeah,
level?
I'd say, yeah.
Is that a correct level there? I mean, they're gonna be walking straight off out of the locker rooms into the,
Yep, that's correct. So there is a foot and a half of grade. There's a slight ramp going from here to here.
Not what it was.
Instead of 6 feet.
So that's actually what that
So
experience will be.
what's gonna happen with the other water barrier there that's around the auxiliary gym? You guys working into it?
Stays there. We're reutilizing that. We're not really touching it. The concession stand is built off of that. So there will be some changes on that corner where the concession stand touches it.
I'm gonna go back to a question that Carol asked, is down where you have your Eagle Bluff, all of that parking down there is knocked out, correct? There's nothing
A lot of that
other than
parking
right
is
in
gone.
front of the barn, right?
Yeah,
Is that
a lot of that parking has been eaten up by the
Okay.
nuclear field.
But there would be nothing, and this is the question, from putting parking on the roadside of that barn, potentially.
We can look at it. We don't have it accommodated at the moment.
It's much more accessible now from this parking lot than it was before.
Okay. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
But in the
about that.
future.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. With that, any questions for us? This is our last slide. So we're
I have a
happy to
question.
answer.
What would be the proposed timeline?
The proposed timeline is we really want to get this thing permitted. Basically, our drawings, more or less, this is going to be loose, but our drawings more or less done by the end of the year. Permitting timeline, we're allowing quite a while for permitting, so we want to draw quickly because we just want to make sure that we're accommodating the flood permitting timeline. And then our ideal is that we're starting to put this thing in the ground in April or May.
And how long?
Would it be complete before the football season?
That's the goal, is to be done by the football season. I will say, Brad, I don't know, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I will say that a lot of the times when we say that, that's focused on your athletic facilities. If concession stand lags a little bit,
Sure.
that's something that we see. We just want to make sure it's playable.
It'd be nice to have a couple of away games at the first part. Just a little bit of leeway, you know? I mean,
Good, so obviously as the track coach, starting middle into May would be after the Talon Relays, which is our biggest event.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what we want to do, is be after that.
Okay, and do you, the process, you tear the track up first, or will the track still be usable during some of that, or will it be?
It'll be done day one when we start construction.
Demo will be the first thing.
It's usually the first thing that goes.
Yes. Especially because we're moving the location.
Right.
We'll be cutting into some part of it very early.
Turf, who's the guy on it?
JC couldn't make it today.
We need to tell Jason I'm not very happy with. Maintenance wise on it, you know, I've done some investigating myself, the pellets, all that stuff. Should we worry, I mean, what are we looking at here as far as maintenance goes every year?
It's a groomer. Basically, it's basically a lawnmower for your turf. That's how I think about it anyway, just for simplicity's sake. You're gonna have to groom less than you mow.
Does that come with turf?
Yes,
Yes.
the groom, piece of equipment comes with it, as well as extra pellets.
Okay, so every year you have to put pellets on it, correct?
You know, you're gonna lose some, just like you would anywhere else, that you'll need to supplement.
And when you lose them, how do you lose them?
They migrate out of the turf.
In your living room, in the bedroom.
Kids'
in
socks.
the shoes out.
Yeah. Just a normal usage will displace some of the SBR pellets that are on top. And then what happens is, one of the important pieces of equipment that they give you is a sweeper. So it's important to sweep your field at a regular interval, and then they have a groomer that goes along with that, and that actually can groom the field and reshuffle the infill and get it back into the normal positions.
The equipment comes with the package.
Yeah, and the
Tractor
field
too?
turf people.
Tractor too?
I'm sorry.
Dump truck.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And the field turf people will actually come down and train your staff how to do that. They can do it with a gator, It's easy to do, they just get in and clean the field and then they're out. There's no disinfectant of the turf product. The sun does all of that for you. No water. I'm sorry?
MRSA, I thought you guys had to spray for,
No, they don't spray, they don't typically recommend spraying for anything. The sunshine is really the best disinfectant we got. It'll kill everything. And the same is true on the running track, actually. The running track is such that it's inert, so it doesn't react with anything. The feel in the foot for the athletes is the same at 0 degrees as it is at about 110 degrees, right? So the athletes running on it in the spring of the year, when their surface is like concrete right now, it won't be like that in the spring of the year next year, the year after, when they're running on the track and field project. And the same is true there. We can come in and clean that track for you if that's what you would like for us to do. But for the most part, Ray takes care of it. You can power wash the track if you want to. You use a wide tip spray at about 1,800 PSI and clean different areas if that's what you need to do. And the repairs to a running track that is a full pour is relatively easy to do because all they do is grind that material down and then re-pour it and rebroadcast the rubber and bed the rubber again.
So 2 questions. One on that cleaning aspect, is there a limit to the number of times you'll come out and clean it?
You
Because
mean
for us, it's not,
for
and
the-
hopefully when this project, this will be eliminated, but it's not
For the running
if,
track?
it's when water will be on there.
Well, typically, the cleaning takes place when the track is dirty and the lines are yellow and you can't see them anymore. That's usually when the cleaning takes place. And all you have to do is contact either myself or Bill Moffett. We can come down and take a walk on the running track. I mean, we're available during the entire warranty period to come and help you. The warranty process for both field turf and for binding is very straightforward. You simply call your representative, we come down, make decisions with you, and then fix the problem. We don't shy away from having warranty problems. That's part of the nature of the game. So in cleaning the track, generally speaking, owners will clean their tracks about every 8 to 10 years, maybe. For the most part, it's the rain that washes away. And the beauty of the color scheme that you're picking is that it doesn't pick up a lot of dirt and it doesn't do a lot of fading, right? So it's a pretty solid color the entire life of the running track.
I showed a blue track and they're like, color's gonna fade, it's not gonna look that good, and I was like, all right. Guys."
Well, the difference between, just for your knowledge, the difference between the blue track and what you're seeing right here is about $120,000. And that just didn't fit in the budget. So we had to come up with an alternative that everyone kind of took a shine to, and that was the dark gray and light gray. And if you want to see a 10-year-old project that has dark gray and light gray, go up to Kokomo High School. You can see it right there because we have alternating lane colors, dark gray in one lane, light gray in another lane. And when you get to the exchange zones, they flip. So the dark lane has a light gray exchange zone, and the light lane has a dark gray exchange zone. Kind of a weird thing. Kind of plays with you if you look at it.
When we first got the track we had the community walking on the track all the time. We don't
No
anymore. I don't know why that is. I don't think it's necessarily the condition of the track, but will we still have entrances that the public can come use the track at any time? Okay.
And I believe that we won't have the option, like, we need to lock it down, and for some reason we'll be able to lock it down.
Right.
We can.
But in general, we keep it open so that people, I mean, I think one of the advantages to me is, again, this is a facility that's for the community. It isn't just for one group of people. I mean, we've just mentioned 4 different groups, sports, or maybe 5 that would be using it in addition to the community. So I think that's great.
Well, you'll see rental opportunities
Yeah.
skyrocket with your turf field
Mhm.
because Little League football will want to play out there. I mean, I'm sure that people are already inquiring about that if they know this is happening. But the one thing that you want to be careful with, and the beauty of going to a turf field is you don't have your lawnmower driving around on the running track anymore. Because they tear up more running tracks than Carter has built.
Question for you.
Sure.
On the exchange zones, I don't know what it's the FHSA or just Indiana, 2-3 years ago, took away the acceleration zone.
Right, a 30
And
meter.
so it's now one whole zone,
Right,
so it's
30 meter exchange zones.
Okay.
Right. World Athletics specifies 30 meter, and everybody adopted that. Right. So when they drive the gators and material on there, the best thing they can do is no static turning of the wheels. Don't just sit there and turn the wheels back and forth. And straight on and straight off if they can. And I know because you have to have an ambulance there during football games, you want to have that ambulance be on the track straight on and straight off with no static turns. The thing you want to avoid, bicycles, rollerblades, but otherwise, people walking on the track or a stroller on the track, not a big deal.
Now, is this all one, it's one and done, it's not, we can't piece and part if needed, it's all or nothing situation? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, toward, speaking to the financing, it's one project. Like if we, right, we have to be able to get the bond financing for the scope of the project.
Which we already have,
Well,
once we approve it.
the board has approved for the school district to move forward with those bonds. We won't move forward with those bonds until we have a board vote to move forward with the project.
Because we didn't have an estimate of how much it would
Right.
cost, right? And there is, as I remember, we asked for asking for 6.1, and so this has some wiggle room in the event you run into something you don't expect.
Yeah, I don't recommend us going down the road of piecemealing it together just because of the importance of lifting and shifting the field. It's just a domino effect, right? You've got the grandstands and you've got the press box that goes with that. We have to be able to address the restrooms, and if we get rid of the current concession stand, right now we need another concession stand. I think it's really hard to be able to piece any of this project.
And to be fair, we have, as a group with administration.
We have relentlessly.
Yeah. And,
Right.
and what we've presented today is what we think is the most responsible use and the most cost-effective use of the money.
And the reason-
Lighting and scoreboard.
They're in the budget.
Okay.
They're not emphasized in the images, but they're in there.
And then you said there's an 8-year warning on the turf, correct?
Yes.
So I'm thinking Noah's Ark flood, all right? Within that 8 years. And I've seen stuff on YouTube where, it's rolled it, full coverage warranty.
2008, 2009.
I've seen some pretty nasty stuff, and then after that 8-year warning, I say everything goes fine for 8 years, what's the replacement on the turf? What's the longevity of it, or is it there?
So, how long we usually see last?
Turf is lasting 10 to 12 years, if not more. It all depends on usage. So it's warranted for 8. You will get, in all likelihood, longer lifespan than that. And then you would look at replacing the turf.
So when they replace the turf, is it just a turf car, or is it the whole substrate?
Correct. They just pull the infield out
Yeah.
and just pull the carpet
Do we have
out.
a good idea what that's gonna run, or any
About,
close?
about $5 a square foot, you want to budget that.
So that's what we'll call a rip and redo rather than doing the whole field. So the field's much more expensive when you have to, move it and regrade everything. With that infrastructure taken care of throughout this process, a rip and redo to get you guys new turf in the future, much easier.
One of the things that Field Turf has innovated is the reclaiming of the infill material and reusing your infill after they've gone through and cleaned it and filtered it and put it back in, and they put it back into the field. So that's one of the innovations that Field Turf does.
I think the other thing to think about is if we don't raise it and shift it, if we keep it in the floodway, in the floodplain, we're still cleaning and repairing every time it floods, and it's flooding because it's at 598, right? Like, this is fixing the flood problem.
Forever.
Go look at that electrical box behind the grandstand and see where that elevation is. It's, the 4 feet doesn't sound like much, and then you stand out there and it's up to, almost up to your neck, and
Only
it's
5
like,
feet,
oh.
So, question, and you may not know the answer to this, so I've heard of schools that have turf, they've decided they don't like it, and then tearing it out. Why are they tearing it out? What, like, do you know?
I look,
I mean, what would,
We have,
most of the people that have gone to a turf field have not gone back to artificial, not gone back to real grass. Really the only place where that's been any kind of a trend at all has been in the collegiate market and in the professional market. The high schools, once they make that decision to go to a turf field, they typically do not go back to the natural grass product.
okay, so then why are the collegiate and the others going back to?
so,
It depends on the school. For example, Michigan State University will never have an artificial turf field in their stadium field because they're a land-grant college. They're the oldest land-grant college, or they claim to be. My alma mater actually is. But they claim, because it's a land-grant school, they'll never have a turf field in there, artificial turf. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have artificial turf, because everywhere else that football team practices, they have artificial turf. Iowa State University is the same way. Iowa State University has a natural grass, sand-based field. They will never have turf field in the middle. Nebraska went from having artificial turf to more of a hybrid product. And a lot of schools, a lot of universities and professional teams are looking at a hybrid product where it's a combination of turf and grass.
And why is that? Like, what?
Well, they think it's an injury issue, but the statistics don't bear that out. The statistics that Field Turf has given Emily, right, they've given you that safety information, show that the artificial turf fields with the correct amount of infill are a safer product than natural grass.
and that hybrid product was adopted by FIFA. So that's a big reason if you're trying to accommodate World Cup, things like that. Like, I'm a Kansas City guy. The Chiefs are replacing that field to go to that FIFA turf, which is half natural, half synthetic.
And the land grants can't because they get federal dollars, is that
No,
why that reason
it's
is?
the tradition of the land grant school.
Got it.
They're ag schools, ag-based schools.
So they're trying to not, I mean,
Right.
hail Purdue is all I can say.
Yeah, so they're not gonna have a turf field in their
That makes sense.
stadium field. Now, the field at Iowa State University, they built that when I was in school there back in the seventies. And that field is actually 4 feet below floodplain. And they have huge pumps under there that pump all the water out.
That only works if you have electricity running.
Big generators.
I want to start off and say, great presentation, well done. I think everything that you're talking about is something that is needed. I also feel like we're just automatically assuming turf. Do you have a Plan B presentation with all the same stuff that's showing the natural field? I mean, we can still do all of these adjustments, raising, adding, new grandstands and new concessions. Can we not do all of that but have a natural sod field?
We marked up that tree for a while throughout the process of designing this, and basically it was like where we got to was if we're staying natural grass, then we might as well leave it in place, and then what else can we look at?
What do you mean by leave it in place? Like not?
Leave it where it is today.
Leave it where it is at the elevation it is.
Wouldn't raising it still
It would
map
still
the
prevent
flooding
flooding.
issue? can still do proper drainage.
Correct.
So why would you have to leave it at the current grade if you were to leave the natural grass?
It's the playable hours, I think is the biggest piece. Emily, maybe you can speak to it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the maintenance of it. We go back to, the painting of the fields and all of that piece just being done, and looking absolutely incredible. We thought that, I think that outweighs the natural.
And as a physical therapist, it doesn't take much to have a little pivot, like, you know, a little place where somebody can be stepping in that and twisting their ankle, lifting up their Achilles tendon, you know, blowing out their knee, because, I mean, I know people try to keep grass street level, but it's still a natural thing, and you still have nature messing around with it.
We don't have somebody that is just solely dedicated to the maintenance of that field, which I think we can all agree, like, the shape that it's in and the shape that it's been in the last couple of years, we're trying to remedy that. And not have to hire somebody that's solely, their sole job is the maintenance of that field.
So I might also add that when you look at a grass field, when you're redoing a field, and by the time you put all the drainage in it, all the irrigation into it, make it so that the field drains, you're spending almost as much for a natural grass field as you are for an artificial turf field. So really, what does it do with the budget, right? So we built the track for Eastern Michigan University, and we put a natural grass field in there in the middle of it. And that natural grass field for Eastern Michigan University was over $1 million, and it wasn't anything spectacular.
But doing the, what'd you say, rip and repeat every roughly 12 years at $5 a square foot, I mean, you know,
Well, if
counting
you're
the end zones and the extra turf on each ends and the sides, I mean, I just crunching some simple numbers, you're talking over $500,000 or more every 12 years to get a new turf field. Does that outweigh having a little more maintenance on a sod field? If we're having to do that every 12 years? And I'm merely going by what the numbers that you provided.
I think I can talk to Mike Center, because I think he has the numbers to support the turf field that he can provide to you.
Yeah, and I've seen maintenance numbers that we can give to the school in terms of, like you're saying, life cycle cost of this field. There's data behind it. I don't know it off the top of my head, not being a turf guy, but I know I've seen that data.
I can shoot Blake a note tonight, and
Yeah.
put that information together and get some life cycle costs for you.
I think my argument, Brent, is that our kids are playing on turf fields, and the other schools are practicing on turf fields. That's what they have, and without that, I think that they're not getting the opportunity. I think, do they need even different kind of cleats on turf? Is that right? Am I wrong?
They're not using metal anyway.
Okay.
So.
But the thing is if this allow them, they can go over to the side and practice on grass, or go over to the soccer field and practice on grass, but then they can also practice on turf, so that they're gonna have the equal opportunity to have both surfaces. And I don't know how many of our neighboring schools have turf, but I think it's almost all of them. So when they're going away, that's what they're gonna have. And as you said, also, people then want to come to your facility and want to have tournaments and that type of thing here as well. So there is an economic benefit from that we will be seeing. Because I agree, I think the rental possibility is there.
And that's, I mean, the big reason we see most people shift is for the playable hours per year. So if you're running all your school teams off the field, the middle of the field's gonna start to become barren. It doesn't matter how well you take care of it, they're gonna tear it up. So that's one big reason we see people make the switch, is the number of hours you get on it.
Question regarding the turf and the heat. For those teams that are playing in the middle of the day, are the turf products, is there a different in the one that we choose, that there's one that's less hot than the other?
There's one called Cool Play, that will keep the field about 20 degrees cooler. It's a different type of pellet. I don't know the science, but I know we've used it in like southern western Texas, like places where it's like really, really hot. We tend to use it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for the school. It comes at a premium, and you guys are typically, your season's not during the middle of summer. I know people are practicing, but the product exists. It's a matter of, is it worth the premium for the school?
I just know for the littles, I have a little that when he sees that he's playing on turf, and granted, they're playing at noon
In the summer.
in the summer.
How many of these projects have you guys done? Yeah.
As far as I remember, that we had this hearing, the students and their coaches really came and they really complained about a lot of higher rate of injuries with the current natural grass. That was what, actually, they were the one really voicing out for the turf's choice, so.
Oh, last spring.
Yeah, like these athletes and football players and coaches, they were really hard voicing about it, so. I don't play football, so
Yeah.
that's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the great thing about what Bill was saying earlier is we have the data on injuries, natural versus the turf that we're providing. And it helps. Yes, sir.
Reference the grandstands, you reuse the visitor side. Is there any option to reuse the home side just because of the sheer expense? I understand you might have to shift it and move it, but I mean, the grandstands themselves, having been in them quite a few times, still seem to be very usable, very salvageable. I mean, I would strongly recommend to the board that if you go with this project, that you know, part of that is probably the disassembly, the getting rid of it, resell it. Grandstands are extremely expensive. Having been involved with the fairground, the purchase of the ones at the fairgrounds, I would hate to pay them to disassemble it and remove it on your behalf, regardless of what they do with it, where you might be able to turn around and sell it to another school who might actually need a used set of grandstands at a cheaper rate. So keep that in mind. I don't know what the project completely entailed, but I would, if you can't reuse it, which it would be nice if you could, and I understand there's some costs associated with disassembling it and reassembling it if you were to use it. I don't know if that would be more or less than the current project.
So you're actually, we barked up this same tree too. You're actually following a lot of the steps we have throughout the process with school. Our initial assumption was it'll be cheaper to reuse it. Let's reuse it. To that point, it's disassembling it, reassembling it. It's also bringing it into ADA compliance. We would have to alter it a little bit in order to get
How
those
is it
seats.
not currently ADA compliant?
I assume it's the number
Is
of
the school
seats.
system not compliant right now with ADA compliance?
When they were installed, it probably was compliant.
Well, shouldn't we
Now
be,
it's not.
don't we get an ADA, you're a physical therapist. Do we not get ADA compliant checks every year in the school system?
I don't know, I have to talk to administration.
So are we running a risk of getting in trouble through
No, I think
ADA, or are they not compliant as it is?
I think when you approach a new project, right, with something that has been grandfathered in, you have to rebuild it under ADA. It's the same thing with our bleachers in the gym, right? There are things with the gym that is not ADA compliant, but they were when they were built. If and when we go to make alterations to those bleachers in the gym, we're required to be up to code to current ADA.
We don't have to maintain current standards for ADA
Yeah,
compliance?
we
Not
don't
if
go
it's
back
grandfathered
into the
in.
past to fix that. Okay, that's what she said. It was okay
So
then.
what we have currently though is not ADA compliant?
With current, it is per when it was built.
Okay.
And Brad, you walked the site with the rep, right?
There's a rep for Dan Clayton in Columbus, and I talked to him about that exact thing. Is, can we take it apart and move it, reassemble it? And he he said, you know, when you think about the labor, taking the part inventory, all the parts and pieces there, probably supplementing some parts that need to be replaced, he said, the labor is so expensive. It's easier just,
So will you have to disassemble the visitor one as well, or?
it's much smaller. And
And that's currently ADA compliant, where we wouldn't have to replace it?
That's newer.
it's newer, but there'd have to be some things done to it. There's some railing and some fencing and stuff that's off that, once you touch it, you buy it, you gotta bring it up to code. So there would be some minor changes that need to be done to it, but not in a wholesale fashion.
They're also different systems, right? Like the visiting bleachers, the true aluminum grandstand with the aluminum structure. So we just basically have to pick that thing up and set it down in the new spot versus, with the raker system on the home side. It's all the steel beams, it's the footings, it's more intensive, to pull that thing apart.
ADA has a range, it is not an absolute, okay? You have a range how high your toilet should be, you have a range where the bag bar should be, you have a range where you put the toilet paper roll, and it's the same thing with ramps and doorways and other things, so that there's some latitude back and forth, because, you know, you look at the White House, okay? In general, the doors are not, the doors in the building are small and old, and they're not necessarily ADA compliant, but to allow people to get into the building, that's why the ramp was put on the White House, so that people were able to get into the building and try to get whatever services they need. So there's that balance between old and update what you can within the ADA range, okay? And that range does not stay still. It is the government, and you know the government likes to fool with things on a regular basis.
Well, I would just, once again, I would just like to encourage the board, should the bleacher project go through, just to consider the possibility of utilizing what you can from it, and whether it be a small amount or not, get something out of what you're taking down to help supplement your cost.
Any more questions from the audience? Josh, you got anything you wanna throw in on this?
Well, I've been involved since I've been here, every step of the way, and we meet every 2 weeks. Administration with this group, they've been very receptive to anything we've thrown their way. That's all I have.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, I just wanna add, I want to be able to, have a platform for people if they have questions, whether here tonight, you go home and have questions, or, people watching the live stream on YouTube. On our website, we do have a tab for an email that goes to a general inbox. And I think that would be a really easy platform for people if they have questions. I get those immediately, and I can reach out to a team to be able to get answers, or attempt to get answers, and get that information back out. So it is www.cscbc@browncountyschools.com, and it's at the bottom of the homepage of our website. And I would encourage people, like, if you have questions and want to direct those to any of the board members or all of the board members, or myself, we can get that to the design team also to help get answers to that. So you don't have to do it through that email button, is what I'm saying.
All right, anything else? Well, I would thank you gentlemen for coming in and giving your time and putting on the presentation. Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, this brings us,
No, you've got to tell them that they have to also deliver that helmet.
The computer's unplugged, we're off the record.
And the students for the band and football team.
We didn't talk about that helmet.
Every game's a sellout, that's our rule.
okay, that, I think it's one of the longer board meetings I've ever been in.
Shoot, I ran.
But that's all right, it was a good one. Discussion items, there's none. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of September 22nd of 2025?
I had 2 corrections to those minutes, and Julie already fixed them, so the executive session had Stephanie listed at the top, that should be me. And then, in the attendance for the board minutes, my name is, she's already listed.
Would you say?
So can I get an approval for those adjustments for those minutes, 2020, or September 22nd?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion? Or had some, so let's vote.
Doug,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Motion carries. That brings us to action needed items.
And recommendation to approve the following facilities as Red Cross disaster sites, Brown County High School, Brown County Middle School, and the Education Service Center.
Can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I know the YMCA is a Red Cross location as well. Is there a reason why we're adding on to that?
Gavin, you wanna?
Yeah, so I met with the Red Cross in the past, years ago. All of our buildings were designated as Red Cross facilities. In meeting with her, she shared with the workforce that they have, they cannot afford to have 2 families at Van Buren and 3 at Helmsburg and 4 at Spernica. It would help them if we could consolidate to a central area.
I see.
So yes, the Y is
Also.
the other location, that's the only other location right now in our county. So what we did is we wanted to centralize our efforts to campus. So we, between the ESC, the high school, and the middle school, we have the room and the capacity to facilitate just about anything that they could possibly need. So we did our walkthroughs and
Whoa.
looked at those 3 facilities, and they were great to work with, super appreciative. Had some administrators join us on that, and so we, with your approval, we will submit a contract, our paperwork with them, just saying that we enter into that partnership with them.
What are our obligations under that?
Let them park here, let them store stuff here, and let them use our facilities. And I think we put down that we are not charging them for the use of the facility.
And would it generally be in the gyms or is it other places?
Yeah, so there's a dormitory and a food, like the dormitory and food have to be different locations. So at the high school, we were looking at the use of, the main gym, the auxiliary gym for housing. We could use the back of the bleacher for the food prep area, the concession stand as a med distribution because it has a refrigeration option in there. So different layouts at different buildings.
Okay.
But the dormitory and food have to be in 2 separate locations.
And I noticed in the paperwork it mentioned pet housing. Does the Y currently have pet housing, or is that?
I don't know if they do. When I met with them, we agreed that we were okay with it, but pets were not to be loose in the building. They have to be in a kennel or a crate. And then we talked about designated areas at each location that we would be okay with folks taking pets out to do their business.
Thank you, Gavin.
Absolutely.
Any more discussion? Can I get a vote?
Doug,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Denise.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the recommendation to approve the donation of $1,500 to each athletic team at the Brown County High School, totaling $27,000 on behalf of the recently dissolved Brown County Athletic Boosters.
Can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Why did it dissolve?
Yeah, the boosters, we figured out this year that they have not been paying taxes. And there were issues with their tax exempt for several years, going back to 2018, I believe. So the bank actually had a hold on the $27,000 from the boosters, and we they weren't able to get that money until they dissolved it and the school took back ownership over the boosters. So the boosters were able to do that, and they donated that $27,000 evenly for each team for the high school. You know, we had questions about marching band, and they are a team and they compete. We're doing a little bit of investigation. We can't find any record of them receiving funds from the athletic office, but we haven't had a lot of time to investigate it either. So the district is prepared to be able to give marching band $1,500 if we find that as the case, so they don't miss out. That's
I
something
also
they
s-
just had.
I just was thinking about that more. We have a separate band booster club. During the time when the boosters were having trouble, and there were some things that we did under the band booster nonprofit status that we could do because we were solvent. And so that made me think about, but I do know that we did at times work at the concession stand, and I know there were various times they were considered a team. So
Either way, we're not gonna leave them out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Any more discussion? Vote?
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the recommendation to declare 2008 International 66 passenger school bus with the stated VIN number as excess property to be donated to Southern Brown County Volunteer Fire Department for training purposes. The current repair costs far exceeds the value of the bus.
Can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
And just for the record, I am part of Southern Brown, but I had nothing to do with this, okay?
It's being donated, so there isn't a conflict there. I do want to give our Director of Transportation, Michelle Hatchett, just kudos for thinking outside the box instead of just taking a piece of equipment that to us is of no use but could be used to another agency. So, yeah, I'm just glad it can be used.
We're gonna train with it, and then we're probably gonna let other departments come down and train on it, because that's, if they put one in over in Bartholomew County, they had a school bus training at one point in time, and it's something that needs, especially on our roads, you know, so we're gonna put it to use. All right, you wanna vote?
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carries. That brings us to the consent agenda items, personnel.
Let's start with the separation of Van Buren Elementary School after-school care assistant and NPs effective October 17th, 2025, through the transfer of Brown County Schools part-time maintenance to Brown County Schools full-time maintenance position, Gerald Lucas, effective October 7th, 2025.
Can I get a motion to accept?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Vote?
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to our superintendent's report. Motion carries, yeah, that.
Yeah, I just want to thank, I know they all walked out, but the entire team at Target have been really great to work with. And like Josh said, we have met on a really consistent basis, and I think every question, every idea, every strategy that has been thrown at them, they've been able to bring it back with something, and so it's just been a really great working relationship with that team. I also want to wish all of our athletic teams, right? They're headed off to sectionals if they haven't had sectionals yet. 'Tis the season, so I want to wish all of our athletes good luck and congratulations on successful seasons. And I also want to say the same thing to the elementary walkathons. I think Sprinica still has theirs yet to do. Yeah, but Hellsburg and Van Buren have done an amazing job. Their PTOs at raising money for the walkathon. And then the celebrations that have gone on with all of those. It's pretty cool to see the school community come together and have a lot of fun. So I do think there's a little bit of competition between the elementary schools. So be excited to see how Sprinica comes out. And then finally, fall break is next week. And so excited for our kids and our families and our staff to be able to just take some time to rest and recharge and, yeah, go on some adventures. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
I have one announcement that I should have, the Community Foundation, selected their Lily finalists, and the kids were notified last week. They selected 4, and, now that I'm on the spot, I don't remember names. Noah Reynolds, Genevieve Laguna, Natasha Robinson, and, picture her name is, Elena Jacobus.
What was the second one?
Genevieve Laguna.
So congratulations to those 4.
Yes.
They will, be interviewing after fall break.
Yes, awesome. Okay, let's adjourn this meeting. Can I get a motion to accept that? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You-